Dude, this is really nice. Nice work. You'd be like really upset if I dropped it, right?
Don't make me destroy you.
Welcome to You Gotta See This Movie. This is a podcast with two guys who love to talk about movies as well as the deeper themes that make these stories more than just a movie. I am Michael.
And I'm Jim.
And if you're into that sort of thing, please subscribe and like so you don't miss the next episode. And with that, Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah. Are you excited?
Excited about what?
Talk about Star Wars, man.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know I was supposed to have this level of excitement.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is kind of a...
I mean, I'm kind of a low-key guy, you know.
Yeah. But I think it's one of those things where, I don't know. I can't remember exactly when we met each other or what happened, but I think it's one of those things where if I know someone really likes Star Wars, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good guy.
Yeah.
So we've always had this, Star Wars in between us.
Yeah, that's the thing that kind of brings us together. And then you go to the next level, like, do you know lines from Star Wars?
Yes.
Yes, see?
Yeah. Or
yeah,
do you even go to the next level and name your firstborn son after a Star Wars character?
Oh, that's true.
Because we both did.
We both did.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's crazy. Do you ever get like people always tell you like, hey, do you ever tell your son, Luke, I'm your father?
I think I've only done it a couple times. How often do you do it?
Well, I kind of got tired of people always asking me if I do it.
Yeah.
So I just like, no, I don't do that.
I don't do that.
But I do like to always do the line like when the kids are upset at me and I say like, oh, perhaps you think I'm treating you unfairly. It'd be ashamed if I have to, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's my favorite line to say.
You like to bring the wrath of Darth Vader down on him,
right? Yeah.
Nice.
So, all right. So yeah, big Star Wars fans, and we're excited to jump into this movie.
Feel like I don't need to read the synopsis because everybody in the world has seen Star Wars.
That's
right?
true.
Yeah.
But
or maybe I should anyway.
Don't read it. But what would you say? Like if someone just said, "Tell me what Star Wars is about."
What's Star Wars? It's an epic space adventure.
Epic space adventure.
No, that's not right. It's more of an epic space fantasy.
Yeah.
Fantasy? It's not really sci-fi. It's fantasy. Sci-fi fantasy?
That's got to be sci. You have to have some sci-fi in this, man. Yeah.
Yeah, but science fiction is more like real world stuff. Like Star Trek is more sci-fi.
I would say sci-fi fantasy.
Sci-fi fantasy. Yeah. All right. It's an epic sci-fi fantasy about a farm boy who befriends an old Jedi master to take down an evil empire
in the midst of an intergalactic civil war.
The intergalactic civil war, yes.
Yeah. Very cool.
I guess.
So, all right. So I'm always fascinated by this. I know we've talked about this with other movies, but Jim, you were alive when this first one came out.
I was alive.
I
was alive. I'm kind of embarrassed to say this.
Okay.
But I distinctly remember Saturday morning. Just kind of got finished watching, cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
I was 11 years old, 11-year-old kid. Probably finished watching the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner hour, and I'm stepping away from the TV, and the advertisement comes on for Star Wars. The big fanfare and the scenes, and I looked at it and I said, "Man, that looks dumb." I know, right? And I don't know why it hit me that way. Maybe it was because like nothing like that has ever been done before.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually sci-fi stuff of the 70s is kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of clean and shiny, and there's not crazy creatures and not as much as, and it just was like, just came out of left field.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know why. For some reason, I thought it looked dumb.
I can see especially coming along the lines of like, no one's ever seen nothing like this before. No one's ever been.
Or maybe I expected it to be dumb because it looked weird. I thought that's going to be dumb.
Yeah. So I can understand that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But I remember going to the drive-in theater. That's where I saw it the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And in our old VW bus. And was just blown away.
Yeah.
Just blown away. Yeah.
And Star Wars is one of those movies where everyone gets blown away from the opening scene,
Right.
right? From when the ship that goes over your head, and you think like, oh, that's a big ship, right?
Yeah.
But then you didn't know there's an even bigger ship chasing it.
Yeah, and it just keeps going.
Yeah, and going
and going. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a cool scene.
Yeah.
And to think like that was, I mean, I would like to think that like George Lucas, that was his intention. Like that was the world's introduction to everything. Like this whole world was just these two ships fighting each other. And had that scene not been in there, I'm sure it still would have been a success, but I don't know. I think that just rewired everyone's brain the moment they watched that movie, that like, wow, things are going to change now. Movies aren't going to be the same.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he just took a completely different approach to that sci-fi genre.
Yeah.
And brought us into this other world, right? You know, in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that was so notable about the film, or different, was that he kind of introduced us to the idea of the used future.
Yeah.
It's futuristic, sort of. You think spaceships and stuff, but everything was kind of dirty and grimy and used and beat up, because that's kind of how things would get over time.
Right.
And that's what kind of gave it that little extra element of cool.
So everyone just assumed that, oh, the future is going to be so much better. It's going to be clean.
It's
going
clean.
to be so
It's
sleek.
a lot of chrome, a lot of
Jetsons, right?
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, George Lucas is like, no, dirty future.
Yeah.
Or long, long ago. I mean,
Yeah.
still in the past, maybe. I don't know. I've never understood
A long time ago.
in a galaxy far, far away.
He's just trying to take you into a world that's completely
Different.
separate than, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I wonder how long ago it was. How long do you think?
My
Maybe-
guess?
Probably thousands of years.
1938.
So
That's just speculation.
So this
on my
happened in a
part.
galaxy far, far away. Only maybe 1938. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just speculation.
All right.
But all right. Well, let's talk about.
Well, when did you see it first?
Well, in our, I think it was our second podcast we ever did, the Return of the Jedi episode. Return of the Jedi was the first movie I ever saw in theaters. I honestly don't remember my first moment that I saw Star Wars. I just feel like I just grew up with it, and that it was just a part of my life. So I don't know if I don't know. I think that I saw it, way back when VCRs were a thing and VHSs were a new thing. And I remember going to my grandma's, because my grandma was the only one that had a VHS or a VCR at the time. And so a neighbor let us borrow the whole trilogy. And I remember spending the night at her house a weekend. We watched all three movies. So I don't know if it was then when I saw it, and then I wouldn't say a large part of my life, but I can remember as a kid always getting a lot of these movies mixed up, because it was just like, it was a Star Wars. All of it was Star Wars to me. So I watched a lot of them, but I never really remembered, which part was which. But yeah, I mean, I think I've owned this. I've owned it VHS. I've owned it DVD. I've owned it Blu-ray, now 4K. I mean, I've every possible way. I have the laser discs. I didn't watch them on laser discs.
Oh, you
I got those later in life.
So does the Star Wars Laserdisc, is that of the original 77 version, or is it the updated version?
Oh no, it's the original 77 version.
Oh, so you have a Laserdisc copy.
I don't have a player,
but you do have the disc.
The Laserdisc. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because last night I watched the VHS copy in all its glorious grain.
That's crazy.
Grainy film. Because I just wanted to experience it in its purest form.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Not a lot of people like the special editions.
I think I'm more nostalgic in that I want to see it the way I saw it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember what podcast it was on, but I remember I made the comment of like special editions are better.
Yeah.
And there was someone that responded on that, like, "Oh, I'm out. I can't believe you said that." And I was being sarcastic.
Yeah, I figured you were.
But I mean, there are some things about it that they don't bother me. The special editions. There's a lot that does. Like, obviously the whole Han shooting first thing. Don't know why they changed that. They've changed that thing so many different times. They should have kept that as it is. But like the little things of I don't know, like when going into the city, the Mos Eisley spaceport,
Mm-hmm.
and just like making it bigger, like seeing more things. Like I liked that.
Yeah, I
Making
liked
the world
watching
more.
I liked watching the newer version just to see the scenes. Like when they left Mos Eisley, you actually got a shot of the Millennium Falcon leaving.
Yeah.
Because it's just they have the shootout, and then the next cut is he's just blasting off into space, sort of a wide shot.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool to see the Millennium Falcon
Yeah,
taking
so
up out of the port. So it's cool, and I'm glad I could see that. But if I'm gonna sit down and watch the movie, just watch it, I'll go for the original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some things.
Yeah.
All right. I get why George Clooney, because they know money and technology he
Yeah.
has now, or you can add those things. But
yeah.
but changing things is not good. You don't
No.
want to change it.
Yeah, you can add
Yeah.
missing shots and maybe clean up a frame, but
Mhm.
don't change it. Don't change the story.
I like they added Jabba.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which a lot of you don't know. When they first did this movie, Jabba was just a human, just a really fat man. But they added him in later and made put Jabba in it.
Made him a slug.
Looks horrible. The CGI looks horrible, but
Yeah.
still like the scene.
Yeah.
Adds to it.
Okay, so you had the VHS tapes to go to and rewatch them
Mm-hmm.
over and over again. Okay, so when I left the theater, it's like I wanted to see it again, but we couldn't, right?
Right.
So the next best thing, I've got this here. We had the Story of Star Wars record album.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, and this is
Yeah.
the one I had when I was a kid, and my brother and I shared it. I don't know if it was his or it was mine or just ours or the family's, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is the one, and it just basically it's narrated by a guy that sounds like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he just
Was he trying to be Obi-Wan Kenobi or just?
I think just sound like
Okay.
him. I think,
Yeah.
yeah. But man, we just listened to this like over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how we just experienced the film. And I remember it's just like I don't know if it was a few days right after the film, I made a little R2D2 out of clay. Like, look, he looked pretty good, and my mom was like, "How can you remember what he looked like?" It's like, "Oh, I remember what he looked like."
Yeah.
And Legos, we'd build spaceships out of Legos, and it was just
yeah.
like this constant, steady stream of making our own stuff until the toys came out. Yeah. And I didn't have any of the toys. My brother had the toys because he was 5 years younger than me, and so I played with his stuff. So I never owned any toys for myself.
I had a lot of the toys.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had the full Jabba set. I had a couple of Jabba sets. I had a Rancor.
Yeah.
I had a TIE Fighter.
Yeah.
What else did I have? I mean, I had all the figures, but I think as far as big pieces, that was it.
Yeah.
I had a friend that actually had the sand crawler,
Oh, wow. That's cool.
and it was pretty cool and impressive in the room.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, I'm like, why would someone want to? Like, it's a cool thing,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like pivotal to the story. It's
It was
not
just
like
a cool thing.
it's not like, oh yeah, Luke's gonna get in the sand crawler and
Yeah.
like shoot down the Empire,
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. My
but he
brother
had it.
had a ton of toys.
yeah,
Lots of toys and stuff, and I made a lot of stuff for him. Like just, I remember making an AT-AT, the walking
oh
tank,
yeah, that's cool.
and a Millennium Falcon, big Millennium Falcon. I did a couple versions,
Yeah,
but he's a Star Wars fan, huge Star Wars fan.
That's cool.
Which is an understatement. So I need to send this to him. I've been meaning to send it to him because he would get a kick out of having this.
it's his
Right.
turn.
Well, he's just a huge fan. I'm not like
Yeah.
a huge fan like he is, but it was something he had when we shared as a kid, so I need to
that's
send
cool.
that to him. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about the movie, and let's get into one of my favorite characters. And like, I'm not saying he's my favorite Star Wars character. I'm saying like, he's my favorite character in movies, books, everything. It's Darth Vader. Number one favorite
Favorite character
Yeah.
of all time.
Yeah.
Kind of like the way I liked Captain Nemo, like was
Yes.
until you ruined him for me.
I didn't. I just pointed stuff out.
Yeah.
And it's okay to still like him.
I don't like him as much anymore.
Well,
No.
I love Darth Vader. I mean, the whole movie, well, really, the whole saga really is about his character, right?
Yeah.
It's about who he is as a boy, then growing up, but anyways, that first scene where, he comes through the door and he just stands there and looks around, see all the devastation. He's not scared of nothing. And he just keeps walking. I just think like, oh, that's so cool. And now, I don't know, just the look of him, everything about him. His voice has always been just amazing.
He's a scary dude.
He's a scary dude.
Yeah.
And he's just choking people out.
Yeah.
Both with his fingers, and
Yeah,
then he's physically choking.
He's just
somebody
picking him
out
up with his hand and choking him, and just tossing him like a rag doll.
Yeah,
yeah.
And like he gave no quarter. He just said, "Tell me what I need to know," and
If not, I'm gonna
you hear that guy neck crack, and
Yeah.
he just tosses him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. But have you ever seen this is, I'm sure everyone knows James Earl Jones does the voice for him. He wasn't the actor in the suit, but the actor in the suit actually was saying the lines. Have you ever seen like the behind the scenes footage?
Oh, that would be funny.
They're pretty funny.
Does he have a squeaky voice?
He doesn't have a squeaky voice. He's got like a it's an accent. I don't know where he's from.
Brooklyn.
No, I want to say German, Switzerland,
Oh.
British. David Prowse, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just like I don't know. It just sounds weird. It does not sound like Darth Vader, and so they definitely
Don't act so surprised, Your Highness.
Yeah.
You weren't on any mercy mission.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyways, they're funny. You should look them up. They're on YouTube somewhere.
I'll check it out. I think I connected more with the C-3PO and R2-D2.
No.
It was kind of like a Laurel and Hardy sort of kind of thing. They're I don't know if Laurel and Hardy's the right word, but they were just like this little like comic duo.
Mm-hmm.
And of course it's centered around R2 because he's carrying the data tapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so cool to think that, I mean, it wasn't a big part of the movie, but in this movie, you see who the villains are. You see the bad guy. You see just how bad he is. You see a little bit of Princess Leia being that damsel in distress at first. And then you're watching this whole movie through the eyes of the droids before they even get, like now they're escaping and then they crash and now they're on the planet trying to survive and they're arguing with each other.
Right.
You're really seeing the hero yet, right?
Right.
It's just it's all through these droids.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting perspective. That's funny that you like them.
Yeah. And R2, he's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a robot with sass.
Yeah, he's got sassy beeps. Chirps and beeps.
Chirps and beeps.
Yeah.
Another cool thing that they came out with a book a couple years ago. It's called From a Certain Point of View. And it's I
always thought that was lame.
They call it the book's canon. So they said like these stories are like in the canon of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like these aren't just made up stories. This is what really happened. But all these stories are just, it's a book full of stories, but it's from different points of view of other background characters within Star Wars. So I'll give you an example. There's a whole story of the galactic, blanking out, the bad guys,
The Empire.
The Empire.
Yeah.
There's the Empire officer who told the gunner to not shoot the pod.
Yeah, why don't he should have shot it, right?
And he just basically, no, it's probably a malfunction. Just leave it alone. There's a whole story of him freaking out because he realized he messed up, and he doesn't, and he's trying to like cover his tracks. Like, how do I? And then it gets into the bureaucracy of paperwork about how he can file this and these reports. It's pretty funny.
See what he would have gotten in more trouble if he fired on it, and
he should have acted, yes, because then it turns out like, oh, the plans were on that pod.
Right, they did get away.
They did get away.
Yeah.
So and then another one which was really interesting was it follows the droid that was the red R2 unit.
Yeah, the one with the bad motivator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's a whole storyline with that droid, and he meets R2 in the Sandcrawler, and R2 tells them in the droid language, "Hey, I have these important missions. I have to get off this thing." And so he's the other droid's like, "No, I just want to be useful because that's our lot in life, just to be useful. That's my motivation."
Yeah.
And then R2's like, "No, you don't understand. I have to get off this. So on our next stop, like, I need to go. Like, just let me go."
Oh, right. He needs to be sold so he
Right.
can move on.
And so that's
Right.
why the red gets picked first. And when R2 starts freaking out,
Yeah.
he's actually talking to the red red
What, 'cause
R2 unit.
Because they made an agreement?
And he's telling him, like, "No, you don't. This is for the sake of the universe or for the galaxy. I need to go do something." And then as a sacrifice, the R5 or the R2 is like, blows himself up.
He blows himself up.
Yeah. It's just kind of funny, weird stuff.
He could have just fell over or something.
Yeah.
He had to blow himself up.
Well, he had to show them they had a bad motivator. Look.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. All right.
So,
Right.
anyways, it's an interesting book. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's a fun book.
Yeah.
It's a fun book to read.
Yeah.
But that's where we meet Luke Skywalker. Now, where do you land on Luke Skywalker as far as a good hero?
As a good hero?
Well,
What do you
yeah.
mean?
Like, what are your thoughts on Luke Skywalker?
I don't know. I just thought he was kind of a whiny kid.
Yeah.
Right? But he wants something bigger. He wants to get off the planet. He wants to join the academy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And be with his buddies.
Spend time at the Tashi station.
Yeah. Pick up some power converters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. He just seemed like an average kid, just like, teenage kid working on his cars,
Mhm.
space cars, but he kind of has bigger dreams, wants to get out, doesn't want to be a farmer.
No.
No way, man.
An oyster farmer.
Oyster farmer.
What you're just harvesting water? Is that what it is?
They're like big dehydrators or something. Just
Yeah.
like there's no lakes, right? There's no like underground water on
No.
Tatooine.
They just have to get through the air.
Get out of the air. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think he's cool. I think I don't think that the movie would have been as interesting with just him alone, when Han Solo came on the scene, and then this guy's cool.
Yeah.
I like this guy.
Yeah, I'm definitely a bigger Han Solo fan than I am a Luke fan.
Yeah.
I like the idea of Luke being the Jedi and the lightsaber,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, there's some Han Solo is just much cooler.
He's cooler. Yeah.
And just, he's a space pirate scoundrel
Yeah.
guy that definitely we can all agree shoots first
Yeah.
and then ask questions later.
He's like the cool single guy that goes around, that with his cool dog. He's got a dog buddy with him.
Yeah.
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 Chewie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Han Solo.
Yeah.
And his ship, the Millennium Falcon,
Yeah.
is probably one of the best spaceships, I don't know, in all sci-fi, right?
Yeah, because
Most iconic?
Yeah, because when that came on the scene, you're kind of looking at it, going like, "I've never seen anything like that before." Like the cockpit's off to
Mhm.
the side,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like a saucer, but it's not. It's super cool. What a piece of junk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to get in trouble in school because I would play with my quarter and
Yeah.
pretend it was a Millennium Falcon and just it was flying around. And the teacher would be like, "Michael, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing.
Playing with a quarter.
It's good quarter." But yeah, there's just something about that ship that was just like,
Yeah.
that's why when that ride at Disneyland came out, I was like, "Sorry, kids, I'm flying this thing."
Yeah.
So you guys be the gunners.
It's like it's been your dream your whole life to fly the
Yeah.
Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I told my son, I said, at some point, just ask me, "What's that red light flashing?"
Yeah.
And I was going to slap his hand away.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. So he gets, let's talk about we need to do probably an episode one day of like, just talk about like, what are our favorite movie characters
Yeah.
of all time? Because the next one in my top 5 as well is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Really?
I love Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah. To me, he is like,
He's like the wise old wizard.
he's the wise old wizard, but
But you're talking about Obi-Wan just from the start. You're talking about like through all the movies as Obi-Wan, because then I can see it. But like,
no, I liked him in this movie,
Really?
and then I really liked him in like the prequels.
Yeah, he was a lot more developed as a character
You
in the
know,
prequels.
I just liked his character, and just like he's this wise old man, and
Yeah,
you
but
know
Darth Vader kills him like what
he
towards the end of the
doesn't
movie,
kill
and
him.
then he's done. Well,
He
then he's
doesn't kill him.
well, then he's just Force Ghost voice,
Yeah.
and everything else though, and all the other movies, he's just Force Ghost.
So okay, so let's talk. It's kind of hard to talk about this movie and not talk about the other movies, right?
Right.
So let's talk about that. You watch this movie, right? And
Yeah.
you see it. It clearly looks like Darth Vader just slices through Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then he just vanishes, right?
It doesn't look like he sliced through him. It looks like he just hit him in his side.
In his arm. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but then he
Yeah.
dies,
Yeah.
or he's gone.
Yeah.
Then the next movie, Yoda dies. No, sorry, in Jedi, Yoda dies, and he just disappears.
He just disappears.
So you just assume, okay, so Jedis, that's just what happens to them. They disappear.
Do they make the call? Like, I'm going to disappear now.
Well, I just thought like that's what happens to Jedis when they die.
They disappear.
And like I went throughout my whole life thinking that until I saw the prequel, Phantom Menace, and then Qui-Gon dies, but he doesn't disappear. So then you realize,
how come he didn't disappear?
because it's a learned trait.
Make yourself disappear.
It's becoming one with the Force. It's the same thing with at the end of The Last Jedi when Luke disappears.
Where'd you get this from? Like some fan thing?
I don't know. I read it somewhere. It's the same thing. Like Luke, he just became one with the Force. He's leaving this existence. And for Obi-Wan, he knew like I can be more powerful if I'm always with Luke.
So yeah, but he made the call when he like, okay, Vader's gonna come at me with the sword, and I'm just gonna Force Ghost out of the way.
He just knew like, look, they can get away.
Yeah.
And I mean, even too, like Vader goes up to his clothes and like steps on it. Like, where'd he go? It's even confusing to him. Vader doesn't know about this. It's like, what happened to him?
You'd think he would know about it,
But he didn't.
because he's the dark side guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So definitely it's a learned trait.
Yeah.
Yoda at the end of his life, when he realized he's got nothing left to offer, he just decides, I'm going to be one with the Force now. I'm done. He was tired and he was over and he was done. Luke at the end of The Last Jedi, he becomes one with the Force and he's done. And he disappears.
All right, remind me how the scene went when Luke went, because I don't remember The Last Jedi.
It was almost is similar but different to what Obi-Wan was doing. He was buying everyone time.
Yeah.
And he's in front of Kylo Ren, which I can't stand Kylo Ren, but that's a story for a different time. And he's buying time by distracting him. Then he realized he's really not there. And then Luke, I think it took all his energy, and he was tired and he was done. And then he's just like, I'm done. And then, that was a really cool scene. I got to admit, there's stuff about those other three movies I do like, but I do like how, like, we first see Luke, not when we first see Luke, but we see Luke at the moment standing, looking at the two suns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's got this bright future ahead of him. He's got this whole adventure. He's young. And then it ends with him, becoming one with the Force in front of those two suns again.
Yeah.
Very poetic, very nice. But anyways, Obi-Wan Kenobi, learned trait.
Okay.
He becomes one with the Force just to become more powerful, and I like that.
The look of the film is really cool. You talk about the production design and just shapes and ships and things like we've never seen before. But it kind of does have that sort of element of a little bit of a cheesy factor, in some of the sets. And it looks like they just grabbed junk and bits and pieces and threw it together. Kind of call it just Star Wars it. Find bits and pieces and bolt them together and paint them. And it's a spaceship. Oh, it's a laser gun. Oh, it's
so you're saying like the Millennium Falcon was just probably some junk that someone looked at first and then said like, this could be a spaceship.
Well, the spaceships are a little more designed,
Yeah.
but like like the buttons, like some of the control panels and the buttons were just cut pieces of plexiglass stuck on, and like the targeting computer is just like a metal rod with some screws in it, and just it was enough to tell the story and to kind of bring you into that world, and it was enough to not be distracting. But when you kind of look at stuff, it was just kind of like, that's kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
That's a control panel, and it's just like, yeah.
So another, you mentioned the world of Star Wars, and I think we can't mention that without talking about like the Cantina scene, because up until that point, you're kind of seeing the two sides. You see the Rebel Alliance, and then you see the Empire. You see Jawas, you see droids,
Yeah.
you see Luke, but it's not until you get into Mos Eisley, and then all of a sudden that door opens, and then the Cantina scene's going, and you're just seeing crazy amount of aliens, and you realize, wow, this universe, this world is so much bigger.
Yeah, and I think that the idea of having so many different characters, it's not like, they open the door and there's like a bunch more Jawas, a bunch more sand people,
Right.
and a bunch more, lizard guys. But there was like a lot of stuff. I mean, there was even one guy that looked like a 60s NASA astronaut sort of outfit guy.
Yeah.
And there was a guy that looked like they went to like the local Halloween store and got like a Wolfman mask.
Yeah.
And
that was one thing. They took him out of in the special editions, which is
did
kind
they
of
really?
a bummer. Yeah.
So it really did kind of, it works though. I mean, it works. Yeah.
And there's so many different, and some of those characters you never see again. They were just in that scene.
Yeah.
Right. Or species or whatever. And
Yeah.
you got the weird band playing,
Yeah.
all these weird instruments, and
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
And that's just this genius, because you're still catching your breath from that opening scene. You're learning about, this crazy planet of Tatooine, and all of a sudden you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
No, that this is more than just two sides in a battle. There's a whole world and universe at play here.
Yeah.
And just, it's crazy to think like, George Lucas just like had this vision of all this stuff.
Yeah.
I know like a lot of it's not the most original movie ever made. Like it follows a very basic movie formula. But
yeah, but I mean, it had its own. It was so out of the box as far as visual, the design and the style. And,
that's what it was.
Yeah,
it's the execution of the
Yeah.
basic formula of a movie
yeah,
that he did. So
yeah. It definitely has its own vibe, its own look. I worked with a guy and we nicknamed him Star Wars because he loved Star Wars and everything he did. Like, I wish I remember what we were working. We were working on something and we needed a control panel, just kind of a generic control panel. And he put the buttons on, and then he went back in and he took white. It was black, and he took white pinstriping tape and he pinstriped little borders around all the items.
Hmm.
I'm like, dude, don't Star Wars it. Because if you look like on the Death Star, like in all the control panels, they like have, few amount of buttons, and then they outline it. It's like pinstriped in white tape. It's a very distinct look, and you don't notice it, when you're watching it. But like if you like pay attention, it's like
it's there.
It's a kind of a vibe they got going on. And this guy, man, it's just like everything he did, like he put it together, and it had this sort of Star Wars kind of vibe to it. And like he earned the name Star Wars. Who's gonna work on this? Like it's Star Wars. He can work on it,
Yeah.
But yeah, everything he did had that little bit of a Star Wars flair to it. Yeah, it was kind of cool.
He's inspired by it.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, and again, it just goes to, it's part of the storytelling because it shows just how terrifying the Death Star is, right? When they're flying, and this is after Alderaa's already been destroyed. I mean, that's when you kind of learn how bad the Death Star is because it blows up a planet.
Yeah.
But I like when Obi-Wan sees it and they're flying. They're like, oh, it's headed for that moon. And they're like, oh, that's no moon. That's a space station. And here we are. We're as audience, we're watching this movie, and everything to us is new. Everything to us is like, wow, we're learning. Oh, this is cool. Wow, I've never seen that before. At that point, he's already done the lightsaber. And we're like, what's a lightsaber?
Yeah.
So we're blown away. But in the movie, this is the first time the characters are seeing something new, something unexpected, and watching their reaction. And you see in Obi-Wan the terror in his eyes, like, I've never seen nothing like that before.
Yeah.
And
Well,
turn
even-
around. He's all, turn the ship around. Immediately, he's like, can't.
Yeah. Well, even Han Solo's freaking out too.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah,
No, good idea.
good idea.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, such a good scene. And then they get sucked into the Death Star.
I love how Han Solo, when he's dressed up as a stormtrooper and he's kind of playing along with it, and he's just not having it. And they break into the detention center and he answers the intercom.
Yes.
Yes.
I was just gonna, yeah.
Great bit of comedy there. It's like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're great. How you guys?
Yeah. Like, we're fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's
Fine.
fine.
How are you doing?
Yeah.
And it was probably that is what tipped them off. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We're gonna send somebody down there right now.
Yeah. Small weapons malfunction. Reactor leak. Very bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Just everything's fine. Everything's cool. And that's when we meet. I mean, that's when we see Princess Leia, and at this point, we've seen her. She tries to outwit them with the whole Alderaan thing and say it's on Dantooine.
Yeah.
But this is where we see her. We realize, okay, wait, she's not your typical damsel in distress. She's not the princess that truly kind of doesn't need rescuing. She could take up a gun. She can fight back.
Yeah.
She's different.
But she does need to be rescued.
She does need to be rescued, but
outside of the cell, yeah,
right.
She's still, yeah.
Yeah. But she's got better shooting skills than the farm boy. Yeah. And then, her and Han don't really get along at first.
No.
They're rescuing her, and she obviously is not into Han Solo right away.
Right.
And they split up, which again is another funny scene, how he's chasing the stormtroopers down.
Yeah.
And then he gets
yelling at the top of his voice and thinking.
And then they turn around and they start chasing him.
Yeah.
Great scene. But they split up, and then you got Leia and Luke alone, and they're about to do that jump across, but she gives him a kiss.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you think they were always meant to be brother and sister? Do you think that was always in George Lucas's head, or do you think he didn't know that and he made that decision later on?
Yeah. See, I don't know, and I'm even wondering if George Lucas even had in mind that Darth Vader was Luke's father. Was that even in part of it too? Or did he just kind of, wait a minute, what if we make Darth Vader Luke's father?
Yeah. No, I always heard that was the case.
But Luke and Leia weren't.
When they called him Star Killer, back then before they were Skywalker.
Oh.
But I always heard that was the case, that it was supposed to be about this guy named Anakin and his kids. But
see, yeah, I don't think the Luke and Leia thing as brother and sister would have been there, because they wouldn't have written stuff like, oh, she's beautiful. Oh, I got a thing for her.
He did. Yeah. They very much implied that Luke was interested. Like, I love that scene. Yeah. Like, when Han was like playing it off, like no bounty, he said no money, no rescue's worth this or anything. And
yeah.
Luke's like, good. And then he goes, well, on second thought,
yeah, she's got a lot of spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? A girl like her and a guy like me? Luke's like, no. So you could tell, like, okay, they're trying to go with the love triangle,
right,
thing. So yeah, I always wondered that, because it's kind of weird.
It is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get too, like, okay, yeah, I like the idea that they didn't know they were brother and sister, but yeah, I don't know. She was quick to kiss him. Because when they jumped over that cavern, she was quick to be like,
yeah, but it wasn't.
This is for luck.
Yeah, it's just like it's like a good luck kiss.
When has that ever happened in any other movie, or just even in?
She got a lot of spirit.
Yeah, she's got a lot of spirit. Yeah. Yeah.
She's smart though, Maybe she's like,
smart.
Maybe she's like, this is going to be a really tough swing. This kid needs a little adrenaline rush. Let me give him a little kiss. That'll get him going.
That's true.
That little burst
That's
of energy.
the answer.
Yeah. like, yeah, it's like the cartoon when the cartoon gets kissed and it starts going crazy, like, yeah. She's smart. Yeah.
She knows, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
So one of the things that special edition things that I didn't like, going back to the Han scene, was they added a lot more stormtroopers. It was like this giant room now where it was like all these stormtroopers were in,
Yeah.
but they were just standing there. I like the original version where it was just like a couple of them.
Yeah.
And chasing. But I will say this, out of all the special edition changes or all the things they added, there is one thing that was just dead on perfect. You know what I'm talking about?
The extra creatures that Mos Eisley. No.
No. The
Wait. Something they added in the special edition that needed to be there to make it better.
Yeah.
I can't guess.
I don't think anyone would argue that this was a bad choice.
All right, what?
And if you're listening to this and if you do think this is a bad choice, let us know. Let us know in the comments if
Okay.
you think this is a good choice. It was when C-3PO and R2 were trapped in the room and the soldiers come in, the stormtroopers,
Oh.
and then one bumps his head. They just added a sound effect like ding.
Take over. Need a hint.
I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's
I've
good.
always seen
That's
that.
good. Yeah.
And then, when the special edition came out, it was like, because I can remember my parents being like, hey, watch, that stormtrooper's going to get his head hit.
Yeah.
But you never hear nothing.
Yeah.
But then they just put it in. That was a good one.
You know what I noticed in the conference room on the Death Star, and Vader's talking to Grand Moff Tarkin, and they're doing a scene, and I wanted to rewind it, but I didn't. And it looks like Vader's like talking to him, and then he stops talking, and before the scene ends, his hand's still doing this, like he's saying something.
Yes, right? I just for the very first time I saw that last night when I watched the movie.
See, that's where I saw it too, and I'm like,
for the first time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's because we're both watching intently because we know there's a battle coming up. But yeah, it looks like he's continuing to say something.
Yes, it was the scene after he tells him like that Obi-Wan is here.
The Force is with him.
Yeah, and just that he sensed him and that his old master's here. And then it ends and all of a sudden you see
he's doing this thing like he's saying something.
Raised up.
Yeah.
Yeah. David Prowse, man, he probably had a lot more to say. And let me tell you about Obi-Wan.
Okay, but is it still in the newer versions? Did they take it out? Because that's
no, they didn't. I watched the 4K version
because that's considered. Oh, you did.
I watched. Yeah, that's what I
would
watched.
consider that to be a mistake, like an error. Like he's still, you can tell he's talking, but he's not saying anything. You think they would have fixed that?
I thought I saw that because it was 4K, but you watched it on the VHS and you still
saw it on my grainy VHS. Yeah.
So it's there.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And that is weird that I've never noticed that before.
Nope.
Yeah.
First timers.
Oh. You can watch a movie 100 times and always
you'll still learn something.
Something, yeah.
Yeah. And that's why it's important to own your movies on physical media.
Physical media.
So.
See, and if I didn't have that physical media VHS, I wouldn't be able to watch the original.
That's true.
Okay, I know you love the Star Wars universe and you love Star Wars, right? But what if that movie Star Wars was standalone? They never made another Star Wars. It's just that's the story, beginning to end, boom, done. Would you still like it as much?
That's a good question.
Isn't it kind of like...
That's a good question.
You have the Star Wars, that's it. It's on your shelf with all your sci-fi stuff.
Man.
Because a part of me likes to watch it from a nostalgic point of view, knowing that this was the first one. Brings me back to a time when I was a kid. And I know there's all this other stuff around it, but I really don't care about the other stuff. I mean, Empire's good. But yeah, does it kind of change your perspective on the whole Star Wars universe? Because then it's not really a universe anymore, right?
No. That's a good question. I don't know. I would like to say yes. I don't know if we would be doing a podcast on it.
Yeah.
But man, that's a good question.
It's like like Logan's Run or
I mean, you got to look at it like, okay, so what are all the cool things about this movie? is the lightsaber, right?
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
That's still in it.
But like everything around it, the culture, like all the toys and all that stuff. I mean, that kind of grew from.
Okay, I would like to. Okay, I think because those toys were a big deal before there was any other movies coming out.
Right.
Right. So if there was no other follow-up movie, that mania was still there. And if that mania was still there, with just one movie, they would still be conventions. I still think there would be, those toys would still be highly sought after because now they're, I mean, there are collector pieces. I don't think Disney would buy it out, you know.
Well, what movie is a one and done that's huge? Like, E.T., right?
E.T.
E.T. is one and done.
Buckaroo Banzai.
Buckaroo Banzai.
I think that's what it would be.
It would
be Buckaroo Banzai,
like a cult classic.
It would be a cult classic with huge conventions and big following. And I think that it wouldn't, like my kids' generation, probably would not be into it.
No.
Yeah.
They probably don't know what you're talking about.
They don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would put so much care into the making it look better or what, but
no, there's no point in doing anything extra because then you want to preserve it as you kind of archive it.
And maybe not Buckaroo Banzai. That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Great question.
So it's something that's really obvious that this was done pre-CGI and all the shots were in camera. And every time I watch it, it's like, man, it was groundbreaking, the way they were able to pull off these shots and make it look so good for a space movie. And so much of it was just like one spaceship after the next fighting this one and, dog fights and that kind of stuff. And it was really amazing. Just even watching it again last night was like, man, the shots were just incredible. Just the X-Wings, across the surface of the Death Star and going in the trench and everything. And you're like, man, this is all just practical. These are all practical shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those X-Wings are cool though.
Yeah.
I love the X-Wings.
Well, even the TIE fighters. I mean, those things like that's a spaceship, a ball with two little,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is funny. Like, you ever hear or see the pictures of like, oh, this picture has a sound.
Yeah.
You see a picture of a TIE fighter and
anyone
knows what that sounds like.
How do you describe the sound?
You can look at the sound.
Like a growl, a howling growl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did they decide that was the sound for it? It's just like super cool.
But it goes with it.
Yeah.
Like I totally.
Yeah.
That's exactly what a TIE fighter should sound like.
Yeah. But all those, yeah. But everything, it's like even that trench scene was so iconic. At the end, it's like, they're going to fight this thing. And it's not like they're going to like attack it and blow it up. No, they got to go down to this trench. They got to like be in this little canyon. Yeah, like a canyon, right? And then reach their target point. Yeah. Just so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just groundbreaking, really, and everything from the production design, the stories, not comic book, but old Western serial. What do you call it? What do you call it? What's the name for that?
Yeah, serial westerns.
Western sci-fi stuff. Yeah. But yeah, from the look of it and the visual effects and the characters and everything. Yeah.
And the acting wasn't bad.
No, it was great, really.
For these actors to say some weird stuff, like make believe stuff, it was good stuff.
Well, that's the thing you think about. You think like, movies from the 70s and sci-fi, a lot of times it's like, you don't really care if the guys can act or not because it's a fake fantasy world anyway, but everybody was just like,
yeah,
they played it professionally.
And they got Alec Guinness and Peter Cushing.
Yeah, right.
That's another thing. Yeah, Grand Moff Tarkin. What a great villain.
Yeah.
You may fire when ready.
What? You're
far too trusting.
Phantom Wings too remote to make an effective demonstration, but don't worry. We will deal with your rebel friends soon enough.
Yeah. She lied to us.
Yeah.
He was surprised.
She walks in and she comes in the room and like I recognized your foul stench when I walked.
Charmed to the last.
Yeah.
She'd
like to take it back. I didn't mean that foul stench thing.
Yeah.
Don't blow up my planet, please. Yeah.
What's interesting is that you know, I think we underestimate Grand Moff Tarkin's villainous. I think he's a better villain than the Emperor. I've always liked him more
Oh yeah.
as a villain than the Emperor because he bossed around Vader.
Yeah.
He was Vader's boss.
She found him holding Vader's leash. Vader's leash. Yeah.
So he controlled, he told Vader, like, this bickering is pointless. Vader, release him. He can stop Vader from doing whatever Vader can't just do whatever he wants, but
that was kind of cool that he had that kind of power over him.
Yeah.
I mean, Vader can choke and kill anybody in the room, but Grand Moff Tarkin's still like
he's the man.
It's like, man, don't choke that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jim, you got any movie magic for us this week?
Maybe. Wait, how do we define movie magic? That's something that I've like a personal connection, or I know
you were gonna tell us.
I know a friend that has a something.
Okay, you're gonna tell us something that just a random person who watches movies wouldn't know, and it's magical. Yeah.
Okay, I have two then.
Okay.
I've got two Star Wars. I worked with a guy. I'm not going to go into the details of his name and everything, but he recently passed away.
R.I.P.
Yeah, model maker guy, famous model maker, recently passed away, and his wife got all of his collection of miniatures and movie props together to auction, and secretly, in his stash of stuff, he had one of the original model X-Wing.
Dang.
Yeah. Even his friends didn't know he had it. And all I could think of is he got it and didn't want to tell anybody he had it because he thought he would get in trouble.
It's probably smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, his collection went up for auction, and that X-Wing sold for $3 million.
$3 million.
$3 million. Yeah.
Was it a Luke's X-Wing?
It was one of the red team leader X-Wings. Yeah.
I think all the X-Wings are red.
Yeah. Apparently there were 4. 3 were accounted for. He had the 4th one that was missing.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's how the story goes. But yeah, they just unboxed it, and there it was.
That's cool.
Yeah.
$3 million.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. My other movie magic is, I don't remember what project. I think it was a commercial for Boeing, and the production designer, Les Dilly, if I remember the name correctly, he was one of the designers on Star Wars. And we met with him on the project and went to his house in Malibu. And he's like, "Oh, I've got something for you," And he unrolled this drawing of the targeting. At the end of the movie when they're standing around that big circular targeting map.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I've got this for you." And he was all excited. And he's like, "Oh, that's neat." He's all, "I designed that, And I didn't make the connection. And so he unrolled this print and he signed it. I think he was really
no
into
way.
it. And then he
That's
also
cool.
had it. I've got this too. And he has a blueprint of the Cantina, the bar.
Oh.
Yeah. And he's like, I designed that too.
Dang.
Yeah, really neat guy, really excited. And he just he basically went to his, his files, and he had the original blueprints. He must do this for people he's worked with, just for fun. But he ran up a couple of copies and signed them, and
That's great.
so I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
So he wasn't the lead production designer, but he was, one of the others that he designed that the map room and the cantina. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
I should have brought him.
It's
seen
interesting. Just like anything someone did on Star Wars, and not just this one, but the other two, like that's immortality, right? Like, because these movies, as long as there's a world, I think will always be around.
Yeah.
And that stuff will last forever.
Yeah.
Well, not the stuff, but the design and look of things. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let us get into the deeper theme of this movie. So here's what I got.
What do you got?
Now, I've watched this movie a lot. I have done sermons on this movie before.
I know you have.
So I always try to want to look at something different.
Okay.
Like, okay, what is this speaking to me right now? And What I really got out of this one, it was just, I think, the call to adventure. Like, like when I said, like, this isn't a very unique story, um, as far as story goes, but um, the call to adventure, like you got Luke, who's just this guy, this boy, this kid, and he's almost like romanticized, like the rebellion and the empire, right? He gets all excited and jazzy, he wants to go, and he's just like, I've got the hope. We're fighting for the good, and he's got his call to adventure. Han Solo, he's kind of just going throughout his life, and we learned that he's made mistakes. Like, he's got a bounty on his head. He's got all these things that he's dealing with, and he's just trying to skate by. But yet he gets his call to adventure, like this bigger picture, and he didn't see it coming. Leia, she's kind of already there, right? She's already in the midst of it. She's already, been in fighting this war secretly for a while. Obviously she's a spy, even though Darth Vader, she says, I'm not a spy. She's a spy. Let's be real. So she's had her call to adventure, but her call to adventure really does come when her planet dies or gets destroyed, because that's like, her dad's gone. All those things are just it over for her. So it's almost like her call was to her next big step.
Mm-hmm.
She's not the kid anymore. She needs to take on this role anyway. So I just look at that like, our call to walk with God and this call to adventure, that we don't know where things bring us, but like, it kind of covers everyone in life, right? It's the youngster getting called to adventure. It's the guy that's been around for a while and made mistakes, but he still gets that call. And it's Leia, who's, in it, but is going to the next level of things. And I just think that's what God, God calls us all in different timing.
Yeah. It's weird. I was thinking the other day, like, you talk about the Christian life and the Christian walk, and you can believe, you can take the Bible, the Word of God, and then believe that it's true,
Mm-hmm.
that there is a God. And then, for some people like myself, it's just like, there's no doubt that God is there. He's touched my life and shown me things, and I've experienced things enough to know that there's no doubt that it's not just like this blind faith. It's a reality.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of fact. But then you think about your life, and you're like, well, what kind of a life do I want to live? Because you can be a farmer. You can be the guy that sees a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
And on Sundays, he takes the days off and he goes to church and he sits in the pew or, chair and sings the hymns and then goes home. And he has that close relationship to God, that kind of matter of fact relationship, but it kind of doesn't go beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are other people that, like yourself, that you're going to go deeper. There's a call to adventure, because there's so much more going on in the Bible.
Yeah.
Than, it's like, it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's deep. The history, the spiritual world, you're talking about dealing with stuff from the past, present, and future, and it's big.
Yeah.
So it's like when Obi-Wan Kenobi called Luke to go on this adventure, go with me to Alderaan. And Luke kind of backed off. He kind of got spooked, right? Yeah. He's just like, no, I think I'm just going to be a farmer.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be a farmer.
It's like he wanted that call his whole life.
And
but then when he finally gets it, he's just like, I don't know.
But he dives in, and then,
No.
so now he's like, yeah, he got involved in the adventure of his life.
Yeah.
How many more movies? Could have just been the one movie, but
Could have been the one, but
yeah. But anyways, I was just kind of thinking about that the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Christian walk gets a bad rap of everyone thinking that, oh, this is boring, but it's far from it, and it's not easy, but it is adventurous, because I don't know what tomorrow holds, and I'm okay with that. So, all right, well, it's time. It's trivia battle time.
I'm excited about this one. I've been excited all week.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Because Terminator was your movie.
It was.
And you,
There was no doubt that I wasn't going to win that.
yeah, you destroyed me, and then
Mhm.
Rocketeer was my movie, and I destroyed you.
Yeah, I knew I was going to lose.
Now we seem to be on equal ground here in the Star Wars
Yeah.
world, so this ought to be good.
This is going to be good. It's up in the air. It's up in the air. So
I'm feeling confident. You feeling confident? I'm feeling very
I'm
confident.
feeling confident that
All
it
right.
might come down to the last question.
All
So,
right.
Trivia battle.
all right.
Okay, so you guys only two of my questions got answered throughout the podcast, but I quickly replaced them with
Mhm.
backup questions.
Wait, what's that voice? Is that a Force Ghost? Force Ghost Joel?
Force Ghost
Force
Joel
Ghost.
giving us the trivia questions.
I'm picturing him in his chair over there with this like the sparkly blue glow.
Yeah.
All right.
The first question you guys answered in your talk was what the kind of ship was that Princess Leia's ship, which that it was a consular ship.
Okay.
The other one you guys answered, which this was an easy one, but what planet does Princess Leia first tell General Tarkin the rebel base is on?
Dantooine.
Which is Dantooine.
They're on Dantooine.
Dantooine.
But all the other ones, there was one you got close to answering, but you didn't say the specific thing. So I got 11 questions. Since you won last time, you get to choose who goes first. So how do you want to do it?
How do you want to do it?
You go first.
I go first.
You go first.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You ready?
I kind of want that question that we almost answered.
Well, you don't get.
Okay, I'm just all right. I'm just
you
saying.
get to choose what question I give you. Okay.
All right.
First question.
Give your dad all the easy ones.
I just go. I just go
I
down
get
my
it. Nope,
list.
nope.
I
get it.
rarely
Let's go.
move the order.
Let's
okay.
go.
What is the very first line of the movie?
It's C-3PO. Did you hear that?
Yep, that is
Okay.
correct. It's
Yeah.
did you
Oh,
hear that?
wow. That's good.
Yeah.
And he says that because they turned off the generators.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Next question. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. How many Jawas did it take to carry R2-D2 back to the Sandcrawler?
Oh, come on. How many Jawas?
Yeah. I'll tell you, I'll accept two numbers, but there's one number that's a little more correct.
I've got the music in my head.
Houdini. What? We couldn't find a thing.
How many are carrying him?
I'm going to say 4.
Steel?
You can go for the steal.
8.
No, you guys are both
Oh.
wrong.
I figure you can get 2 on each side of them.
So initially,
I thought it was
when he gets picked up, there's
it's
5.
7, huh?
No, when he gets picked up, there's 5, and then another one rushes over to help him carry him, and then it's 6 for the rest of the time.
Dang.
All right, whatever.
6
Wow,
Jawas. Wow, I stumped you guys
You
on
did.
that one.
I never thought about counting Jawas.
No one counts Jawas.
Because as the scene was coming up, I was thinking, wait a second, how many Jawas do carry R2-D2? That popped into my head.
All right, that's a good question. All right,
Wow.
next question.
Okay. This is an easy one. What language does Uncle Owen need a translator droid to be able to speak?
Make sure it speaks Bocce.
Yeah, that is correct. It's Bachi. Okay.
Can
All
you
right.
speak Bocce? Of course I can,
Of course I
sir.
can, sir.
It's like a second language to me.
Next question. What term does Uncle Owen offhandedly refer to Ben Kenobi as?
Oh, is this my question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh. An old hermit lives out beyond the Dune Seas, but I think he calls him a wizard
He
first.
does call him a wizard.
Wizard first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll accept. Yeah, he calls him a wizard.
Wizard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that old man's just a wizard.
Wizard.
Okay. All right. You guys are doing pretty good.
So it's 2-1, right?
It is currently 2-1. Yes. Okay. You ready for the next question?
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is I don't know if this is going to be an easy one or a hard one. I guess it just depends. What was the difference in the tracks near the destroyed sandcrawler that gave away that it was actually destroyed by stormtroopers and not sand people?
It's because the Sand people walk in single file lines to hide their numbers, and these tracks are all spread out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll accept that.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
You knew that one, right?
I knew that.
Yeah.
One, yeah.
All right, next.
Everyone
And I
knows
thought it
that.
was funny how he said, and these blast marks are
Too
accurate for stormtroopers. Like, yeah, right. We see how
Yeah,
those guys shoot.
yeah.
It's either that or how bad did the sand people shoot?
They
Yeah.
should, I mean, when they redid, in the new version, they should have, oh, these blast points are
Way too.
are just way too sloppy. Must be
Yeah.
stormtroopers.
Okay. What was Greedo's last word that he speaks in his native tongue? What's the last?
He's
thing
not
he
going to know this. This isn't in that version.
It's not.
No, I know it.
He says,
No.
Boska. I bet you have. Pew. He says,
Well, that might be right because
He-
I watched
because
the other
he
version.
watched this version. He's right. It's Boska.
Ah,
But if the
Boska.
version I watched, it was malarkey
No, he's
or no, it's
McClunky.
McClunky. That's what it is. Yeah, McClunky.
why did they
Yeah.
change it?
I don't
he
know.
just goes-
It's
he goes,
dumb.
McClunky.
Yeah.
And he shoots.
It's not translated though. We don't know what he says.
That's all he says. He just says McClunky.
Probably like the
McClunky.
F word or something. I don't know. I'll give it to him because
Yeah.
you're right. In the version you watched, it is
Boska.
Boska.
Yeah, because if
Yeah.
they didn't add that, that would be the last thing he says.
Yeah.
That's a weird. So they threw an expletive at the end of his space.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. McClunky.
McClunky.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. Okay, next question. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. What detention block is Princess Leia being held in?
Tension block
This is a hard one.
AA23.
Yes.
Okay.
And now, do you know what level? I'll accept AA23, but I'm curious if you know what level it is.
No, I don't know what level.
Okay. It's level 5.
I knew it was a lower level. But okay.
Level 5, AA23. All right, okay, I'll give you that one. Okay. Next question. How wide is the thermal exhaust port the rebels need to hit in order to
This is
destroy the
easy.
Death Star?
3 meters wide.
Nope. Steel.
Wait.
Still.
3 meters wide.
Steel.
No, it's 1 meter wide.
Still.
No,
Still.
okay,
Still.
yes, steel.
2 meters.
It's 2 meters.
Oh, it's 2
wide.
meters wide.
Yeah.
Dang.
Oh, I can't believe I missed that.
It's like
one.
shooting wall brats back home.
It's a small thermal exhaust port right below the main port.
Yeah.
Wow.
2 meters.
Okay.
Ah.
2 meters.
All right. Well, next question. Second to last question. And I'm saving the hardest one for last.
All
This is kind of an easy one. What place on Tatooine does Luke compare the trench on the Death Star to during their attack run?
This is my question, right?
Yes.
It's Beggar's Canyon.
Yes, that is correct.
That's
Beggar's
an easy
Canyon.
one.
Yeah, it's just like Baker's Candy back home.
Okay, this is my last question. This is a hard one. And I don't even know if it's going to be in both versions. I have no idea.
What's the score? This is the last question?
Yeah, I only had 11. When the Millennium Falcon is pulled into the Death Star by tractor beam, it goes to a docking bay. What is the number of the docking bay?
94.
94. Docking Bay 94. No. Docking Bay 94. That's not it. Docking Bay 94 is Tatooine's Docking Bay.
I'm talking about the one on the Death Star.
You're talking about the one in the Death Star.
When they're getting pulled in.
Yeah.
We're opening the magnetic shield.
Clear docking bay blank.
Hang on. Give me a second.
You can hear the stormtrooper say it. He says clear docking bay blank. And I'll give you a hint. It's 3 numbers. Like it's 3. Just
We're opening the magnetic shield. Hang on. Like I'm replaying it in my head.
it's a 3-digit number.
I don't know it.
Right. You can edit this out. I just want to get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I skipped a question.
Let me say something like, oh, because I keep thinking he said Klinger Bay. Clinger Bay 327.
No, he says Clear Bay.
Clear Bay
Yeah, that was it.
327.
327.
We're opening a
Wow.
magnetic shield. Yeah.
That's great. That's
it.
good.
Wow, I can't believe you got that. Yeah, Clear
I
Bay
always said that's
327.
funny because I always said like Clinger Bay 327, like that was a phrase. But is it Clear the Bay?
Yeah, he
Clear
says
the
Clear
Bay.
the Bay 320. Clear Bay 327.
Oh,
Because I
Mm.
guess whatever was in there, they would get it out. So they
wow.
pull 'em in.
Okay, that's a new for me. That's the first.
Wow. That's pretty
I always
good.
thought it was Clinger Bay, like that was the name of the bay, Clinger Bay.
Mm.
I did skip a question, but right now the score is 6-3. Because you got 2 steals. It would have
Oh, that's
the two steals.
It's 6-3.
Yeah, because it would have been 4-3 if he didn't get both of those steals. He got 2 of them,
Oh, that sucks.
and you were and they were steals where you're like 1 off.
Yeah, that meter one, man.
The meter.
But do you want the last question? It's an easy one.
Yeah, I can't win though.
I mean,
It's all over.
I'll give it to you anyway.
It's all over. Give it to me anyway.
What is the name of the area that Luke is in when he gets knocked out by the Sand People?
If you know, don't say it. I want to guess. Hang on.
Obi-Wan says it.
That's what we were thinking.
I think I know what it is.
Okay. Do you want to?
I know what it starts with.
It's called like the jungle and wastes aren't traveled
No.
lightly. No,
So it's with
that's it.
the jungle and
The
wastes.
Junlin Waste.
the Junlin. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Junglin,
yeah.
wastes are not traveled lightly.
Yeah, not trouble lightly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's Junlin Waste.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, so if I got that, then it's 6-4.
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't win too horribly.
Not too bad. It's the steals. It's the
steals.
Yeah, that's
That's where you rack up your points. Is a steal.
Dang it, is knowing something the other guy doesn't.
Well,
I was way overconfident on this one.
On 2 meters, man.
Yeah,
2 meters.
I
Yeah.
should have thought about it more.
that
Dang
was
it.
surprising.
Yeah,
That was surprising.
wow.
Anyways,
Look at you, man. You got like a little grin on your face.
just try to stay humble.
Yeah.
Trivia battle.
You're gonna walk through your front door when you get home tonight and just throw your hands in the air and say, "I beat him."
I beat him. All right. So, what's your final thoughts on the film
Final thoughts.
and ranking?
I ranked it. It came up as a 10. Now this is
Mm.
my personal thing, but I didn't think it was gonna rate as a 10 because it's not high on my favorites list.
Mhm.
But it's a 10. It hit all the marks.
Yeah.
And 2 of the marks are like, you watch it and you immediately want to watch it again. It's like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's usually a big one. But everything, and you think like production design, and you think like acting and everything. Everything was done really well. I mean, everything. I
Yeah.
can't think of any flaws in it. Is there any flaws that you think?
Well, I mean, other than Vader still pointing and
That's true. That was the first flaw.
Guys
I think I saw.
bonking
Bonking
their
their
head.
head. No, but I mean, it
That's
wasn't.
good stuff, though.
It wasn't like there was one actor that
Yeah.
was like, yeah, that guy's kind of lame.
They all
or-
carried their weight.
Yeah, everybody carried their weight. Everything works.
Yeah.
And the music, the score was great. Can't beat that. I don't know. How'd you-
I think I went a 9.7. And the reason why I don't feel like I can't go a 10 because I feel like Empire is such a better movie. If that makes sense. Like, to me, an Empire's a 10. But
see, I don't know. What's weird is I don't know if I'd rank Empire as a 10 because I think that Empire does have some. I have to look at it again, but I do think that it does have some minor flaws to it. Not flaws, but things that don't bring it up to a 10. Like, it's not rounded out like of a beginning, middle, and end. It's got the big crazy cliffhanger and stuff. So
Big Crazy Cliff, yeah. Well, that's a
that's a
different
yeah.
conversation.
Huh.
Yeah, no, maybe I'd go 9.8. Yeah, maybe I'd move it up because it really is. It's so special, and it has birthed so many other. I mean, every new director or writer, that's out there now with new movies coming out, they were all inspired by this film, right? They were all. So it has done so much for just so many people, and joy and excitement, and knowing there's a good guys and a bad guys, and there's evil in the world, and then there's hope that you can overcome the evil, and then there's also redemption. And so there's all these things that Star Wars does that just hits everybody on a human level that I think is just, yeah, I think the world would be a very sadder place without it. So that's my take.
Good take.
All right. Well, if you made it this far, thank you for tuning in, and we hope that you enjoyed this episode. Again, please subscribe and like. That helps us out. And comment and let us know about your Star Wars story. When did you first see it? What did you think at first? So, yeah.
And if you're the guy that just saw Star Wars and none of the other films, we want to know who you are.
Yeah.
That would be something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw Star Wars. He's probably the guy that's like, I saw Star Wars. And then he was done. But if you saw Star Wars and you liked it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.